So let's talk about what Palestinian resistance looks like. So, resistance can mean anything from protesting to posting on social media to literally engaging in armed conflict. It can mean any of those things. Palestinians do not have the right to do any of those things in the occupied territories. Protesting, or in this case, freedom of speech, doesn't exist in the occupied territories. In fact, in most cases, protesting often gets you killed. Posting on social media in an area where your internet is heavily monitored and regulated, and speaking out against the state whenever it comes to injustices or people dying doesn't happen as much either. In fact, what you see is a lot of bigger technology companies that have or own social groups, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or so, and throttle that information and try and get you shadow banned. Your information won't make it as much. If you ever notice on Instagram, you post something on your story and then you say the word Palestine. All of a sudden, your 130 views that you get per story drop down to 67 or in the 20s. It's what we refer to as shadow banning. Now we'll talk about resistance in terms of armed resistance. It's not possible to do armed resistance without being categorized as terrorists. Now, you may ask the question, well, in what case does that make Hamas? Well, Hamas is a little different. It's not simply easy to just say that Hamas is just a terrorist group. Hamas is actually a political party in Gaza, and their methods of being able to achieve what they call Palestinian liberation occurs through both political and military means. That means armed resistance, and that means being able to take seats in governing office. The United States of America has designated Hamas as a terrorist group. However, whenever we simply put this conversation in the context of is it terrorism or is it not terrorism, it starts to erase the entire conversation around Palestinian resistance. Hamas is not the only group that is doing Palestinian resistance, whether that's through armed or unarmed means. You also have to ask yourself a question. If somebody is trying to bang down your door on your land and on your property, and they are sitting outside with tanks and guns, do you go down fighting, or do you just sit back and take it? At the end of the day, the conversation of whether this is terrorism or not terrorism really takes away from the fact that should Palestinians have the right to resist? It's about fighting back in a bunch of different ways, whether that's through stories, whether that's through protest, or whether that means literally fighting back.